Welcome back to our series Explore Income and Employment. So, till now we have understood everything related to aggregate demand, aggregate supply. Then we studied ED in two sector model, what is consumption function, propensity to consume, saving function, propensity to save, and so on. So, now we are going to begin with our next and a very important topic, that is income determination and multiplier. Here, basically, we are going to understand first how do you determine the equilibrium level of the economy. We are not talking about any individual demand or any individual supply. Here, we are going to talk about the entire economy. So, first of all, let me explain what are we actually going to study. So, we are going to study how do you determine the equilibrium level of employment, output and income. How are we going to determine the equilibrium level of all of these things? And understand that the entire concept is given to us by Keynes. We also call these concepts as Keynesian theory. Very important, we all should know the entire concept of equilibrium level has been given by Keynes, and that is why we also call this theory as the Keynesian theory. First of all, before starting, let us understand what is the meaning of the term equilibrium. This is not a new term for us. We have already studied about this in our class 11th. We talked about consumer equilibrium, producers equilibrium, market equilibrium. If only you could recall. So, what is equilibrium? So, in a very simple meaning, equilibrium means nothing but the state of rest. The position of rest. That means thereafter you don't want to change your position. You want to be at the same position. That is what is called as equilibrium. So, when we studied consumer equilibrium, when consumers used to come at equilibrium stage, when their satisfaction was maximum. Producers were at equilibrium when their profit was maximum, and market was at equilibrium when producers and consumers both were intersecting with each other. So, that was about our microeconomics. Here we are studying the concept on macro level. So, when we talk about macro level, we talk about AD and AS. That means aggregate demand and aggregate supply. That means when these two variables become equal to each other, we say that the economy is at equilibrium level. And this concept is given to us by Keynes, that is J.M. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes. So, he has given us the concept of AD and AS. He says when AD and AS are equal to each other, at that point of time, your economy is at equilibrium position. That means thereafter, your economy does not want to change its position. So, for example, in an economy, let us consider our Indian economy. Aggregate demand is for 50 units and aggregate supply is also for 50 units. That means demand is equals to supply. Aggregate demand is equals to aggregate supply. At this point of time, I would say, or economy will say, that our country is in at equilibrium position. The quantity demanded by the four sectors of economy is equal to the quantity supplied by the producers of the economy. So, at this point of time, our AD is equals to AS. That means our economy is at equilibrium position. Now, if I elaborate AD and AS, we have studied that AD is equals to C plus I and AS is equals to C plus S. Do you all remember? AD in two sector model is considered that there are two components, consumption expenditure and investment expenditure. Whereas when we talk about AS, it has again two components, consumption expenditure and saving expenditure or savings. So, when I cancel out this C and C, it remains I is equals to S. So, in a very simple language, we can say that Keynes have given two major approaches in order to determine the equilibrium level of income, output and employment. And the one approach is ADAS approach and another approach is S&I approach, or S is equals to I, that is savings equals to investments. So very important approaches which has been given by Keynes to determine the equilibrium level of income, employment and output. Now one by one we are going to study both the approaches. Let us see. So Keynesian theory, equilibrium condition is generally stated in terms of AD and AS. That means aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Keynes says that if you want to study about the equilibrium level or equilibrium condition of the economy of the country, you will have to study it with the help of AD and AS. Now, economy is in equilibrium when AD, that is aggregate demand for goods and services, is equal to aggregate supply during a period of time. So that means an economy will be at its equilibrium position when AD is equals to AS. So equilibrium is achieved when AD is equals to AS. So if AD is 50 units, AS is also 50 units, we would say that our economy is at equilibrium position. So first we know AD is the sum of C and I. So AD is equals to C plus I, consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. We also know that AS is sum of C and S, that is consumption and savings. Now we are going to substitute it in the formula. Simply what you have to do, we know that AZ is equals to C plus I. We know that AS is equals to C plus S. Okay, so let me substitute. C plus I is equals to C plus S. C and C gets cancelled out. I is remaining from this side and S is remaining from this side. So you get INS or SNI, whatever you want you can call it. So according to Keynes, there are two approaches for determining the equilibrium level of income and employment of the economy. Two approaches of determination of equilibrium level of income employment in the economy are: first, aggregate demand and aggregate supply approach, which we also call it as ADAS approach, and second is saving and investment approach, which is nothing but SNI approach. So it must be kept in mind that ADAS, saving and investment, are all planned or exant variables. See students, there are two terms, very important terms. First is exant and another one is ex post. Exant variables are those variables which are planned and ex post variables are those variables which are actually done. For example, there is one boy called as Ram. Ram feels or Ram plans to buy a chocolate for 50 rupees. But when he went to the market, he actually bought the chocolate of 100 rupees. So here this 50 rupees is an exant expenditure and here 100 rupees is an ex post expenditure. Exant are all variables which are just planned. They have not been done actually in real life. Whereas ex post variables are those variables which are already done, which are already happened. So exant and ex post. So when we talk about ADAS approach or SNI approach, both the approaches are the planned approaches, that is exant approaches. Okay. Now, before understanding these approaches, we will have to take few assumptions, understand few assumptions. First assumption is the determination of equilibrium output is to be studied in the context of two sector model, that is households and firms. So first assumption says that when you study these approaches of equilibrium level of output, income and employment, you have to make sure that you are studying it in the context of two sector models, wherein only two sectors are involved, that is households and firms. There is no other two sector involved, that is there is no government sector, there is no foreign sector or rest of the world sector. There are only two sectors in the economy, that is household and firms. Second, it is assumed that investment expenditure is going to remain autonomous. So you all remember we have studied the types of investment expenditure. It can be induced or autonomous. Autonomous expenditures, investment expenditures are the constant investment. That means here the investment will not change with the change in level of income. Whether your company is going in profit or loss, you are always going to keep on investing. So this constant amount can be anything, 20, 20, 20, 40, 50, whatever you want, you can assume it. Okay, but it needs to be constant at every level of income. Third, price level is assumed to remain constant. So whatever the commodities we are considering, the price of those commodities are also going to remain constant. Price will not change at all. If the price of a commodity is assumed to be 20 rupees, it is always going to be constant. It will not change. And equilibrium output is to be determined in the short run. If you remember, in 11th micro, we have studied about short run and long run. With the name itself, we can understand short run is the shortest span of time and long run is the longer span or longer period of time. So here, when we determine the equilibrium level of income, output and employment, we are going to determine it in the short span of time. This is again an assumption. Okay, so these are the 4 very important assumptions which we have to understand and accept before understanding the 2 approaches. First approach, ADS approach, that is nothing but aggregate demand and aggregate supply approach. Here we are going to talk about aggregate demand and aggregate supply. We all know what is aggregate demand and aggregate supply, what are the components of AD and components of AS. So according to Keynesian theory, equilibrium level of income and an economy is determined when AD, which is represented by C plus I curve, is equal to the total output, that is AS. So first of all, according to Keynes, your equilibrium point is the point where AD becomes equal to AS. AD is the component of C plus I and AS is the component of C plus S. If there is any deviation from the equilibrium level of output, that is when planned spending AD is not equal to AS, then what we will have to start? We will have to start the process of readjustment so that the economy comes in equilibrium position. That means we don't want AD more than AS. We don't want AD less than AS. We always want AD equals to AS. So if at all in the economy, by any chance, these situations prevails, then we will have to bring back the economy in this situation because we always want our economy to be in equilibrium. So AD, AS. AD has 2 components, consumption expenditure and investment expenditure, that is C plus I. Consumption expenditure will vary directly with the level of income, that is consumption rises with income and consumption decreases with decrease in income. There is a direct relationship between income and consumption. Income increases, consumption increases. Income decreases, consumption also decreases. And secondly, investment expenditure. So it is assumed to be independent of the level of income because here we have assumed that we are going to talk about autonomous investment. Autonomous investment is the constant investment which does not vary with the change in the level of income. So 2 components of AD, C and I. Now we are going to see a schedule of AD and SI approach. This schedule includes everything. It includes AD, AI as well as it includes S and I. Fine. So let us see the graph. Here you will very easily understand the equilibrium where AD is equals to AS and S is equals to I. So first of all, as usual, we will be taking income, consumption, saving, investment. Then you will have to find out AD. Then you will have to find out AS. Here one more column we have added, that is the level column of employment. Because what we are finding out? We are finding out or determining the level of employment. That is why we have also considered the column of employment, which is very simple. It is nothing but 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60. Income as it is 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 and 600. Consumption 40, 120, 200, 280, 360. The difference of 40, 440, 520. So basically here we can see that when the income level is 0, consumption is 40 units. And this kind of consumption is called as autonomous consumption, which is represented as C bar. Coming to savings, when income is consumed, then the remaining part of the income will go for savings. So that is how you will find out the savings. 0 minus 40 is minus 40, 100 minus 120 is minus 20, 200 minus 200 is 0, 300 minus 280 is 20, 40, 60 and 80. Minus 40, that means negative savings. I hope you all are recalling these things which we have already completed in our previous videos in a very detailed manner. Then comes investment. Here we have considered autonomous investment. So 40, 40, 40, it will remain constant in the entire level of income. AD, we know AD is nothing but C plus I. You have C column, you have I column, you just have to add it. So 40 plus 40 is 80, 120 plus 40 is 160 and so on. AS is again C plus S. You have C's column, you have S column, just have to add it, you will get AS. Now in this table, we have to find out at what point AD is becoming equal to AS and at what point S is becoming equal to I. So, if I see very carefully, AD is equals to AS when there is 400, 400. That means AD is equals to AS. Equilibrium point. I got the equilibrium point for first approach, that is AD-AS approach. Now, we will find it out for S and I approach. So, if I look carefully at the table, I can see in the same unit, there is 40 equals to 40. That means this is S is equals to I. Saving is equals to investment. So, I got the equilibrium point of the second approach as well. Okay. And employment. So, how you will determine the employment? Employment is going to be 40. So, equilibrium employment will be 40. At that point of time, your AD is becoming equal to AS and S is becoming equal to I. So, through both the approaches, we found out the equilibrium point. Very simple table. It is just you are drawing it, you are making it from the beginning of the chapter. Same as it is, you have to pick it up over here as well. Now, let us see the diagram. How are you going to represent it? So, very simple. What we have to do is, first, I will draw it with roughly and then we will go to the table. X-axis, you have Y-axis. On X-axis, you have taken income, output and employment. On Y-axis, we have taken AD, that is aggregate demand. We know our aggregate demand will always start from this point. So, that can be 40, 20, 60, whatever you are considering, up to you. So, this is nothing but my AD. AD is represented as C plus I. Okay. And this part is my nothing but autonomous consumption. Then I will draw my AS curve, which is 45-degree angle. That is my AS curve. So, now this becomes my equilibrium point where my AD curve and AS curve are intersecting with each other, are meeting at a point. So, this becomes my equilibrium point where AD and AS curves are meeting each other. So, if I draw a straight line, so this become my equilibrium level of employment, income or output. Okay. Now, if you see very carefully, what will happen if I take equilibrium, if I want to take equilibrium point from Y1? If I say that I want to draw line from Y1. So, if I go from Y1, if I go to Y1, first point which is intersecting is of AS. Okay, first point is intersecting is of AS. Then if again I go up, I will get the point AD. So that means here AD is more than AS. And if, so what will I have to do? To bring back the economy at the equilibrium point, I will have to shift towards the right hand side. That is, I have to come from Y1 to Y. Same way, if I say that I want to keep Y2 as my equilibrium point or in my income output employment point, again if I go up from here, the first point which I am intersecting is of AD. If I go up more, I will get AS. That means here what is happening? My AS becoming more than AD. So still my economy is not at equilibrium. So what I will have to do? Now I will have to shift towards the left hand side. I will have to come from Y2 to Y in order to bring back the economy at the equilibrium position, because we already said I don't want this situation wherein AD is more than AS. I don't want this situation where AD is less than AS. When AD is more than AS, this situation is called as the situation of excess demand. And when AD is less than AS, this situation is called as deficient demand. So I don't want either of these conditions. I want AD to be equal to AS, that is equilibrium position. I always want my economy to be at AD equals to AS. So my perfect point for equilibrium would be Y. It would not be Y1, no Y2, just Y. Because if I am at Y1, I will get the condition of excess demand. If I go to Y2, I will get the condition of deficient demand. I will not want excess demand or deficient demand. I always want equilibrium, okay? So that is why I will be at Y. Very simple diagram. Then comes your diagram explanation. So in the figure, AD or C plus I curve shows the desired level of expenditure by consumers and firms corresponding to each level of income. Whenever you are writing the diagrammatic explanation, your first point should be what you are representing on x-axis and what are you representing on y-axis. Economy is at equilibrium at point E where C plus I curve intersects the 45-degree line. That is when AD is intersecting AS. E is the equilibrium point because at this point the level of desired spending on consumption and investment exactly equals to the level of output. OY is the equilibrium level of output corresponding to point E. OY means this. This is your point of equilibrium to point E. Equilibrium level of income is rupees 400 crores when AD is equals to AS. We saw that in the schedule. AD was also 400, AS was also 400. So we said that this is the equilibrium point. And this situation, very important, this situation is called as effective demand. What is effective demand? So it refers to the level of AD which becomes effective because it is equals to AS. So when AD becomes equal to AS, we call this situation as effective demand, because here your economy is at equilibrium position. If AD is 400, AS is also 400. So that is why your equilibrium position has been attained. It has been achieved, and this is called as nothing but effective demand. Now let us see what happens in the various situations. First situation is when AD is more than AS. That means people are demanding more and suppliers or producers are supplying less. That means, for example, if I want to take it in the numerical terms, the demand, aggregate demand of the consumer is, say, suppose for 500 units, whereas the suppliers are supplying only 400 units. This will be the situation when my demand is more than my supply. In the economy, people are demanding more for the products, but the suppliers are supplying less. Okay. So when planned spending AD is more than planned output AS, C plus I means demand is more than supply. People are demanding more as compared to the supply. It means consumer would be buying more goods and firms are willing to produce. Firms are not willing to produce those many units of goods, but consumers are demanding for those many units of goods. So as a result, what will happen? The fall in the desired level. Supply would be less. So supply will fall as compared to the desired level of demand. So to bring back, now what is the solution for this? When AD is more than AS, what is the solution for this? So to bring back the inventory back to the desired level, firms would resort to increase in employment and output until the economy is back at the output level where AD becomes equal to AS and there is no further tendency to change. So at this particular situation, what is the solution? The solution is to increase the inventory. Inventory is nothing but supply or stock of goods and services. So producer will have to increase the inventory, and in order to increase the inventory, producer will have to increase the employment level as well as it will have to increase the output of its goods and services. Second situation, when aggregate supply is less than aggregate demand. That means when supply is more and demand is less. People are not demanding that much how much the producer is willing to supply. For example, AS, the supply is of 500 units. Let's just reverse the example. Whereas the demand for the commodity is just 400 units. This is when your supply is more than the demand. Again, we don't want the situation in the economy. So when AS is more than AD, it means that supply is more as compared to the demand. And this will mean that consumers are buying less goods than firms are willing to sell or produce. So this result as supply would rise, of course, stock will increase, inventory will increase. So now again, what is the solution for this? Or what should we do to bring back the economy at equilibrium level where AD is equals to AS? So for this, firm will plan to decrease the employment and output until the economy is back at the output level where AD become equals to AS. There is no further tendency to change. We know that when two variables are at equilibrium position, it means the point of rest, the state of rest. Thereafter, there is no tendency to change. So basically, if again this is the situation wherein the supply is more than the demand, what will the seller will decide or what will producer will do? He will reduce his employment and he will reduce his supply. That is, he will reduce his output for goods and services till the time the situation is again back to equilibrium. Next starts is S&I approach, that is saving and investment approach. Okay. So according to this approach, equilibrium level of income is determined at level when S, that is saving, is equal to planned investment, that is I. If there is again any deviation in the equilibrium level, if planned saving is not equal to planned investment, then the process of readjustment in the economy will start in order to bring back the situation at equilibrium level. That means if saving is more than investment, if saving is less than investment, I don't want neither of condition in the economy. I always want my saving to be equal with investment. And if at all these situation prevails in the economy, we will have to find out the solution and do the readjustments in order to reach at the equilibrium state. Now this schedule you have already seen there, it's just repetitive of that only. They have just bifurcated the saving investment part. Rest, the schedule is same. Income 0, 100, 200, 300, 400. Consumption is increasing with increase in income. Autonomous consumption, negative savings 0, 20, 40. Investment is autonomous investment, so it will remain constant as it is at each level of income. So again, where you have to see where S is becoming equal to I. So S is equals to I where 40 is equals to 40. Now, so that means this is the equilibrium position. Before that, if you see Before that, if you see, your saving is less than investment. That means your savings was minus 40, investment was 40. So, saving is less than investment. Minus 20 and minus 40, again saving is less than investment. 0 and 40, saving is less than investment. 20 and 40, saving is less than investment. But after the point of equilibrium, you can see that your saving has become more than investment. Saving has become more than investment. 80 is bigger than 40, 60 is bigger than 40. And here saving is less than the investment. This is what you get in remarks. Now you have to represent it in the diagram. Here simply what they have done is they have clubbed the two diagrams. If it is up to you, if you want to draw it separately, that is also fine. But if they tell you to explain it together, then in this manner you will have to draw. First of all, let us draw the separate diagram. This is your x-axis, y-axis, 0, income, output and employment. Here you have to draw the saving curve, which is negative. So let us take it over here. Here you have SNI, that is saving and investment. Autonomous investment, as it is parallel to x-axis. So, straight line parallel to x-axis. Saving curve is something like this. So, this becomes your saving curve. The point where saving and investment are intersecting with each other is the point of equilibrium. Now, do not get confused between the break-even point and equilibrium point. Break-even point is different, equilibrium point is different. Break-even point is this. This is your break-even point where your saving becomes equal to 0. Whereas this is equilibrium point where your saving becomes equal to investment. Okay, so don't get confused between BP and equilibrium point. Again, if you draw this, you will get Y, which is your equilibrium employment. If you want, we can again see Y1 and Y2. If I want to say that I want to bring, if I see Y1, so what will happen? If I go upwards, first I get saving curves, then I get investment curve. So that means this is the situation where my investment is more than savings. Okay, my investment is more than savings. So I will have to come towards the right hand side to bring back the economy in equilibrium point. Same way, if I go to Y2, first I will get investment curve and then I will get saving curve. That means this is the situation where my saving is more than investment. Again, I don't want this. So again, I will have to bring this curve towards the left hand side, that is on Y, in order to bring back my economy in equilibrium state. Same way what they have done, it's just that one line they have added. They have joined the equilibrium point of ADS and the equilibrium point of SNI. That's it. The diagram is as it is, what we have drawn, what we have seen. Just they have drawn a straight line showing the intersection of ADAS and S&I approach. Again, there are few conditions. As I said, what happens when your saving is more than investment? Okay, that means you are saving 50 rupees, whereas you are investing just 20 rupees. So, if planned saving is more than planned investment, it means that households are not consuming as much as the firms are expecting them to. So, that means their maximum proportion of income is going in savings. They are not consuming, they are not doing consumption expenditure as much as the firms were expecting them to. So, as a result, inventory will rise because here supply is more and demand is less, because maximum proportion of income is going into savings. That means consumers are not consuming at that level. That means your supply is more and demand is less. So, inventory or stock will rise. So, in order to clear this inventory or unwanted stock, firm would plan to reduce the production till saving and investment becomes equal to each other. So, when this is the case, firm will reduce its production until and unless my S becomes equal to I. That means again consumers start consuming more in the economy. What about saving is less than I? What happens when saving is less than I? That means people are saving less and investing more. When they are investing more, more demand, okay, more demand in the economy. So if planned saving is less than planned investment, that means households are consuming more and saving less than what the firms are expecting them to. So in this situation, households are spending more money on consumption as compared to the savings. So planned inventory would fall because demand is more than supply. So that means people are demanding more but supply is less. So in order to again normalize the situation, firm will increase the production till the time my S is becoming equals to I. That is, my S becomes equal to investment. The next topic about which we are going to discuss is investment multiplier. With the name itself, we understand what is investment, because till now we have studied about investment, types of investment, investment function. And what is multiplier then? Multiplier means nothing but how much income will be generated with the initial or with the fresh investment. This is nothing but investment multipliers concept. It's a very easy and interesting concept. Four major things over here you have to remember. That is the meaning of multiplier, working of multiplier, then relationship of multiplier with what? So with MPC and MPS. And one more thing is formulas. If you remember this much, then your entire concept of investment multiplier is done. So it's just that you have to understand the concept of what investment multiplier is. So as I said, investment multiplier is nothing but the increase in the income of the economy with increase in the investment. In a very simple or a layman language, we say that when income is generated more in the economy, how income will be generated? With investments. More investments. Now, if I talk about government investments, of course, we are talking on macro level. So, we are not talking about the investments of individual people. We are talking about the investments which are done by the government. And the investment done by the government is majorly on constructing bridges, dams, railways, buildings, hospitals, colleges, etc. So, whatever investment the government is generating or doing in the economy, that will help in increase in the income of people. How? So, when government invests in different projects, say suppose government wants to construct a bridge. To construct this bridge, government is going to require n number of resources. Like government will be needing a land, government will be needing laborers, then it will be needing engineers. Everybody will be getting paid for that. We have already studied that economics is something about finance and capital. Here, nobody is going to do any work, any task without money, without for social service or for social welfare. So basically, when a bridge is constructed by the government goes through lots of expenses, lots of investment, and that investment is going to generate income for the people involved in constructing of that bridge. For example, laborers will be getting wages, engineers will be getting salaries, land that will be given on rent, machineries, raw materials, suppliers will be involved. So there will be n number of people involved in this construction of bridge. That will basically help in generating income for all of those people. So that is why investment multiplier talks about the concept that when investment is increased, the generation of income will also increase. Always remember, investment multiplier or multiplier is denoted with the letter K. K is the initial letter through which we will define investment multiplier. Okay, and in the very simple formula, basically there are three formulas, but first of all I will talk about a very simple and the basic formula, that is change in income upon change in investment. I have already told this small triangle is called as delta, and this delta depicts nothing but change. So change in income upon change in investment. That means when there is change in investment, how much change in income we are generating. Let us take a very simple example. For example, investment has been changed by, say, suppose 1000 rupees. Okay, and income has been increased or income has been generated by 10,000 rupees. Now, if I tell you by how much percentage or by how much percent the investment multiplier has increased, so I can very simply say by 10 times. This 10 times is nothing but your multiplier. That means by 10 times your income has been increased with increase in investment. I increased investment for 1000 rupees and that increased investment gave me the returns or gave the income generation for 10,000 rupees. So this 10 times is nothing but the value of multiplier. So first of all, this is the basic of investment multiplier. Now let us look towards the notes. What does it say? So concept of investment multiplier is an important contribution by Professor J.M. Keynes. As last time also I told you that all these theories, all these concepts has been given to us by Keynes, John Maynard Keynes, and that is why we also call this theory as Keynesian theories, right? So very important for factual questions. Keynes believed that an initial increment in investment increases the final income by many times. So this concept was generated or given to us by Keynes itself, and he said that when you increase the investment or when there is an increase in investment, your income generation, your final income generation will be also increased by many times. So multiplier will express the relationship between initial increment in investment and the resulting increase in aggregate income. So basically multiplier, that is the value of K, will determine that how much investment needs to be done to increase the aggregate income. In practice, it is observed that when investment is increased of a certain amount, then change in income is not restricted to the extent of initial investment, but it changes several times and the change in investment. So it is said that when the income changes, when the investment changes, it also changes the income of the economy. So change in income is a multiple of change in investment. So change in investment is resulting in change in income. So multiplier explains by how many times income increases as a result of increase in investment. So here only I explained what is the formula, change in Y upon change in I. So when my investment was changing by 100 rupees, my income was increasing by 1000 rupees. So that means by 10 times my income is increasing. With change in my investment, by 10 times my income is increasing. Very simple. So multiplier, which is denoted as the letter K, is the ratio of increase in national income due to increase in investment. So that is why the formula of first formula of K is change in income upon change in investment. Here Y stands for income. This by now we all should know, and I stands for investment. This also we should know. Small triangle is called as delta, and this shows change. So change in income upon change in investment. That means if investment is increased or if investment is done in the economy, by how much percent, by how many times my income will generate in the economy. So here a very simple example they have taken. So we know the formula is change in Y upon change in I. They say change in Y is 16,000 and change in I is 4,000. Now you have to find out that by how many times my income will increase with increase in investment of 4,000 rupees. So 16,000 divided by 4,000 is equals to nothing but 4. So by 4 times my income is increasing with increase in investment. So if I do the investment of 4,000, I will get the returns or the income generated in the economy will be for 16,000. Now multiplier and MPC. So basically we are going to understand the relationship of multiplier with both MPC as well as MPS. MPC is marginal propensity to consume and MPS is marginal propensity to save. If you remember, we have already studied this in tendency or propensity to consumption function and propensity to saving function. Under that, we have already covered these topics in detail. So, multiplier and MPC, there will exist a direct relationship between MPC and the value of multiplier. So, there is a direct relationship between MPC and the value of multiplier. That means when K increases, MPC will also increases, and when K reduces, MPC will also reduce. How? That we will understand further, but as of for now, understand that the relationship of multiplier and MPC is a direct relationship. With increase in K, MPC will increase. With decrease in K, MPC will decrease. It's but obvious, right? What is multiplier? What is K? K is nothing but income generated in the economy. How income will generate in the economy? When people will consume more. When people will consume more, they will spend on n number of goods and services. When they consume those goods and services, they pay money for that, and that is how income generates in the economy. So, income will be directly related to the K, or MPC is directly related to K. Higher the MPC, more will be the value of multiplier. Lower the MPC, lower will be the value of multiplier. Concept of multiplier is based on the fact that one person's expenditure is another person's income. Very, very, very important that whenever we study the concept of investment multiplier, one thing for sure you have to keep in mind that one person's expenditure is another person's income and one person's income is another person's expenditure. That is for sure. Now take example of yourself. Okay, there is a person goes to shopkeeper and buy goods. So, it is an expense of A, an income for this shopkeeper. Now, this shopkeeper wants to buy vegetables for his house. So, when he goes to buy vegetables in the vegetable market, then he has to pay money for buying the vegetables. So, when he pay money, it becomes his expense. And vegetable shopkeeper, it will be an income for this vegetable shopkeeper. Now, this vegetable shopkeeper also wants to go and buy a new bag for his son. Now, when he goes to buy this bag, he will not get that bag for free of cost. He will be paying some amount of money. So, when he is paying that money, it becomes expense for his person and income for this bag shopkeeper. So, in this flow, you very easily understand that one person's expenditure will always be the another person's income. Okay, when your parents for that matter receive salary, so it's an income for them and expense for the organization. But your parents when go and buy fruits for you, then it becomes expense for us, for your parents, and fruit shopkeeper's income. Now again fruit shopkeeper will go into the market and buy something. So that will become an expense for him and income for that other person. So this chain in the economy keeps on flowing, keeps on continuing. So that is why we say that when we study the concept of multiplier, we have to understand that one person's expenditure is always going to be the another person's income. So when investment is increased, income of the people will also increase. So when investment increases, income of the people increases. It's but obvious. Naturally, I said, right, how government invests in the different projects. When government invests in different projects, there are n number of people who are going to be involved in that project. And nobody is going to do the work for free of cost. They will be charging some kind of money. Okay, so that money, that is how they will be generating income for themselves. Then they will go to the market and do the expenses, and that is how the income is generated in the entire economy. So people spend part of their increased income on consumption. We already know that, right? When there is an income, people will be spending some proportion of their income on consumption. That is but obvious, right? So, the amount of increased income spent on consumption depends on the value of MPC. So this is what we have studied under MPC. Marginal propensity to consume. Marginal means additional. So whenever there is increase in income, the consumption will also increase. And that is what the concept of MPC talked about, that by how much proportion of increased income is going to get utilized for consumption. And that is why we also studied the formula as change in C upon change in Y. In the case of higher MPC, people will spend a large proportion of their increased income on consumption. More the MPC, more will be the consumption. Lesser the MPC, lesser will be the consumption. Then in such a case, value of multiplier will be more. As we have already said that there is a direct relationship between multiplier and MPC. More people will consume, more income will be generated in the economy, right? And that is what multiplier talks about. In case of low MPC, people will spend large proportion of their increased income on consumption. In such case, value of multiplier will be comparatively less. Now, if I want to algebraically or symbolically represent the relationship between multiplier and MPC, how can I do that? So, algebraic relation between multiplier and MPC can be derived in the following manner. We know that at equilibrium, that is income, is the sum total of consumption and investment. Y is equals to C plus I. We can write like that. Y is equals to C plus I. Similarly, if there is any change in Y, there will be also change in C. So, divide both the sides by change in Y. So, basically, change in Y is equals to change in C plus change in I. Now, we will divide all the sides with change in Y. So, change in Y. Here also change in Y and here also change in Y. Change in Y is 1 is equals to change upon C. Change in C upon change in Y is nothing but marginal propensity to consume. Recently, we saw that MPC is equals to change in C upon change in Y plus change in I upon change in Y. So, that is what the formula you studied of K, multiplier, change in Y upon change in I. If I reciprocate it, I will get the formula of multiplier. So, if I am reciprocating it, I will have to write 1 divided by, when I reciprocate, I got the value of K, formula for K. So, I can simply write it as K. Now, if you solve the entire thing, you will get the value of K as 1 upon 1 minus MPC. This is the second formula of multiplier. First formula we have already seen, that was change in Y upon change in I. This is how you derive the second formula of K or multiplier. Now here you will understand further that what is the relationship of K and MPC. But as of for now, understand how did we derive it. Change in Y is equals to change in C plus change in I. Now divide all the sides with change in Y. So change in Y, change in Y and change in Y. Change in Y gets cancelled. We get the value as 1. Change in C upon change in Y is nothing but MPC. So we simply write down MPC. Change in I upon change in Y. If I reciprocate the formula of change in I upon change in Y and if I make it as change in Y upon change in I, this is nothing but my K. We have already studied this first formula of K. So that is K. So I can write it as K. When I am reciprocating it, my numerator will become 1. So 1 upon K. Now if I solve this entire equation, I get the value of K as 1 upon 1 minus MPC. Very simple. Now we are going to understand the relationship of multiplier with MPC and MPS. Now we will understand the relationship of K or multiplier with that of MPC and MPS. So first let us understand the relationship of multiplier with MPC. Now here I will be considering some value of MPC and put it in the formula and find out the value of K. So for example, in the first situation, I am assuming that the value of MPC is 0.90 and we know the formula K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC. So 1 upon 1 minus 0.90 is equals to nothing but 10 times. Okay, so you got the value of K as 10 times. So when the value of MPC was 0.90, the value of K or the value of multiplier was 10 times. Let us look the second scenario. Here I have considered the value of MPC as 0.50. So let us see, MPC is 0.50. So K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC is equals to 1 upon 1 minus 0.50. When you solve this, you get the answer as 2 times. So you can very easily see over here, with increase in the value of MPC, K also increases. And with decrease in the value of MPC, K will also decrease. So I will just show you. When the value of MPC was 0.90, the value of K was 10. The value of MPC reduced to 0.50, value of K also reduced to 2. So here very easily we have proven that with increase in the value of MPC, K also increases, and with decrease in the value of MPC, K also decreases. We have very nicely proved the relationship of K and MPC. So I can say that K and MPC have direct relationship between them. There is a direct relationship between K and multiplier, K and MPC, because when we can very easily see that when the value of MPC is decreasing from 0.90 to 0.50, the value of K is also decreasing. And if I do the opposite, that from 0.50, if I go to 0.90, then the value of K is increasing from 2 to 10. So I can very easily say that there is a direct relationship between MPC and K. With increase in MPC, K will increase. With decrease in MPC, K will also decrease. Now let us understand the relationship of K, relationship of multiplier with MPS. Now another formula of investment multiplier or K is equals to 1 upon MPS. Okay, so if I consider the value of MPS as 0.50, so K is equals to 1 upon MPS, that means 1 upon 0.50, I get the value of K as 2 times. Whereas in the second scenario, I have assumed the value of MPS as 0.90. So formula is K upon 1 upon MPS. That means 1 upon 0.90, that means 1.11 times. So when my MPS was 0.50, my value of K was how much? 2 times. That means the value of K was 2. When my MPS increased to 0.90, the value of K reduced to 1.1. So I can very easily see that when my MPS is increasing, my value of K is decreasing. So I can very easily say that here the relationship of MPS and K is inverse relationship. That means when my MPS will increase, my K will decrease, and my MPS will decrease, K will increase. But obvious, because K is nothing but multiplier, income generation. But if people in the economy start doing savings, then there will be less income in the economy, less money in the economy. So, but obvious, my multiplier will reduce. Whereas if people do more consumption, my K will increase. But if people start doing savings, then in that case, the income generation in the economy will reduce. And that is the reason that there is always an inverse relationship between MPS and K. These were the very important concepts. It can be asked as assertion reasoning question, multiple choice question, or at times you will also have to elaborate the relationship of multiplier with MPC and MPS. So in that case, this thing will be very useful for us. So very simply, we understood that the relationship of K with MPC is a direct relationship, whereas the relationship of K and MPS is an inverse relationship. I also explained that why there is a direct relationship between K and MPC. Why? Why there is an inverse relationship between K and MPS? Next, 3 formulas which we saw for MPS. First, multiplier formulas. K is equals to change in Y upon change in I. Y stands for nothing but income. I stands for investment. This is delta which shows the change. Second formula is K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC. And third formula is K is equals to 1 upon MPS. From this formula has been derived from this. How I will tell you. K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC. So, K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC can be written as MPS. So, this is formula. That is how it has been determined. If you all remember, we have already done the sum of MPC and MPS is 1. So, if I convert this, if I want the value of, say, suppose MPS, what it will be? 1 minus, if I take this MPC over here, so 1 minus MPC. So, 1 minus MPC can be also written as MPS. So, that is how the third formula has been derived from the second formula. Again, these formulas are very important. On the basis of this, there are chances of numerical questions for 3 marks or 1 marks. Next is the working of multiplier, that how exactly the multiplier works. A very important table. So, first column will be of round, how many rounds are taking place. Second column will be increase in investment. That means how much investment are we increasing. Third column will be change in income. That means with increase in investment, how much income is changing. Next is change in consumption, that how much will be consumed. And then it is change in savings. Here you have to make an assumption that the value of MPC is 0.90, or you can also say it as 90%. It is completely up to you. Whatever value you want to take for MPC, you can take 0.2, 3, 4, 5, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. Here I have assumed it as 0.9. Now say suppose that increase in investment is by 100 rupees in the economy. So round 1 will show the investment done in the economy. Now, if increase in investment is by 100 rupees, how much income is being generated in the economy? So, very simple. Round 1 as it is. 100 rupees has been investment, 100 rupees has been income has been generated in the economy. Then, MPC is 90%. So, that means 100% is the income. 90% has been consumed. So, 90% of 100 is 90. So, out of 100, 100 is the income. Out of 100, 90 has been consumed. That is your change in income. And remaining will go for savings. So, how much is left out? 10. So, 10 rupees. It's in crores. If you see the column, I have made it in crores. But we don't take that much big values not to make the things complicated, but all the values are in crores. That means 100 crores has been invested in the economy, 100 crores of income has been generated in the economy, 90 crores has been used for consumption, and 10 crores are going for savings. Now 90 in the second round, how much income will be generated? So 90 will be generated because 90 has been consumed. Now those people will be spending again, doing different kind of expenses. So that is why in the second round, the income generation in the economy will be for 90 crores. Again, 90% of 90 crores or 0.9% of 90 crores is how much? 81. So 81 will be used for consumption and remaining will go for savings, that is 9 crores. Again, 81 is going to be generated in the economy. 81 crores are going to be generated in the economy. 90% of 81 is nothing but 72.9. So 72 out of 81 crores, 72.90 crores are going to be used for consumption. Remaining will go for savings. That is how much? 8.10 crores. Then again 72.90 will come in the fourth round. This much will be the income generated in the economy. Again 90% or 0.9% of 72.90 is 65.61%. So again, from 72.90 income, you will be consuming 65.61 and remaining will go for savings, that is 7.29. Again, this 65.61 is in the economy, this is the income generated in the economy. So this cycle will like this only keep on continuing in the economy. Till when? So very important and very, very important, till when this will go on. So this will go on till the time your this income becomes equal to this savings. So this, whatever here it is, it should be equal to this. And what will happen? So if 100 is becoming as savings, the 100 was there. So when you do the total as 9, you will get 900. When you do the total of this, you will get 1000. That means 10 times. So when your investment was increased by 100 crores, your income was increased by 1000 crores. That means by 10 times your income has been increased. Okay. So how this came, or how did I know already that there will be 1000 crores increase in income, or there will be 900 in as consumption? So that is a hint. First hint I already gave you all. First thing I already said that income will be becoming equal to the savings. Till the time income does not become equal to the savings, this cycle will go on. Second hint, you have now already know the formula of this particular multiplier. So K is equals to change in income upon change in I. So change in income is given to you is how much? 1000. And change in investment is how much? 100. So when you cancel out, you get 10 times. That means by 10 times your income will be increasing. So here your total should be 1000. Here your total should be 900. Now again, how do you know that? So again, for that you have third formula, third thing what you will be using. K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC. I already told you that we are going to assume the value of MPC as 0.90. So 1 upon 1 minus 0.90, you get it as 10 times. That means whatever table you are making, you have to make sure that at the end, the value of income generated should be the 10 times. So for example, if at all you would have considered the value of MPC as 0.50. So 1 upon 1 minus 0.50, you get at 2 times. So that means your value, here your value should be 2 times of the investment. That is how you will find out. So these are the small tricks or hints which you have to remember while making that table, making the table of investment multiplier. First, you have to always be remember that whatever income you are showing, that should be equal to the savings. So you get the column of savings. Second, you have to find out by how many times you are going to show it. So change in Y upon change in I by 10 times. Now again, if you want to be more clear, whatever the value of MPC you are considering, you put the value on the MPC and see that by how many times you have to show the increase in income. So if 100 rupees goes for savings, if 1000 rupees is the increase in income, but obvious 900 will be consumption. So that is how very simply you can show the working of multiplier. Now last thing about investment multiplier is the minimum value and the maximum value of K. That means what will be the minimum value and what will be the maximum value. So you know MPC, we are saying that K and MPC are related. You know the value of MPC, we have studied it in under the part when we were doing marginal propensity to consume, and there we had seen the first important point of MPC, that the value of MPC will always vary between 0 to 1. So if the value of MPC always varies between 0 to 1, how can we find out the maximum and minimum value of K? Very simple. MPC minimum value can be 0, maximum value can be 1. K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC. In first scenario, I will be putting the minimum value of MPC. If minimum value of MPC is 0, then what will be the minimum value of K? So, K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus 0, that is 1 upon 1, that is the value of K is 1. So, that means when the value of MPC is 0, the value of K is 1. So, the minimum value of K can be 1. So, we got the minimum value of K. Minimum value of K is 1. Now, let us find out the maximum value. So, maximum value of MPC can be 1. So, MPC is equals to 1. K is equals to 1 upon 1 minus MPC. That is 1 upon 1 minus 1, that is 1 upon 0. Anything 1 upon 0 is how much? Infinite. Then that means the maximum value of K can be infinite. There is no particular 1 or 2 value, it can be infinite. So, the minimum value of K can be 1 and maximum value of K can be infinite. So, these were the important concepts related to investment multiplier. Thank you for watching our video. For more updates, reach us on www.tgcampus.com or 1800-267-2677 or connect@tgcampus.com. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel TG Campus In. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp. Join our official Telegram channel TG Campus In. Chat with us on 8655682401.